A 2-year-old brain contains far more cells than a 22-year-old brain. Billions more. Now, whilst I was out on the streets of Edinburgh in the early 1980s, conducting yet another head count, Giacomo Rizzolatti and his Parma University team of experimental neuroscientists had managed to implant a single electrode into a single neuron of a conscious macaque monkey's brain. Single electrode, single neuron on the left side of its brain. Now, when that monkey lifted its right arm, the cell triggered. But amazingly, when that monkey observed another monkey lift its right arm, the cell triggered. It was as if the cell didn't know which brain it was in. And apparently, our own brains are littered with such so-called mirroring cells. No different from the monkeys. So, if I observe someone doing something to you that was done unto me in my past, that triggers the same feelings within me that you are presently feeling. That activates our complement of dempathetic mirroring cells in terms of thoughts and feelings. Now, in a 2-year-old developing brain, its batch of cells are dividing and randomly connecting up. So it must be the sensory input, the infantile sensory input, that prunes back and selectively kills off that set of neurons not genetically programmed to register and structure, in terms of the hardware, the thoughts and feelings of such an input. Such pruning process continues until the age of 5 and then simply shuts itself off. So by then, the hardware, and if you consider conscious thoughts and feelings to be equivalent and analogous to software, then both the software and hardware by that time was fully formed. And it was actually the infantile sensory input, in other words, the mimetic input, that had been central to the structuring of such soft and hardware matters. So, how does this all help in understanding why some respondents flip the order of answering? The having before being and the being before having. Simple. The having before being individuals were exposed to parental desire, Oedipal desire during their infancy. A ma's desire for a da, or a da for a ma, or both for each other. My Edinburgh headcount confirmed that 60% of individuals are actually aware of a parental desire. 54% of that 60%, or rather 56% of that 60% are double turners. They were aware of both a mum's desire for a dad, or a dad's desire for a mum, or a dad's desire for a mum and a mum for a dad. They were equally split. And then in the other 44%, the single turners, they were only aware of a dad's desire for a mum or a mum for a dad. And surprisingly, it was 1 in 3 who were aware of a dad's desire for a mum, whilst 2 out of 3 were aware of a mum's desire for a dad. Interesting statistic, that. So, all these findings are central to a theoretical explanation of the sexual orientating of all of us sexually embodied speaking beings. How? Well, the Edinburgh head count showed, I'm forgetting about the fact that we're all mimetic dipoles, orientated or preferentially orientated to a mother or father, a ma or a da. In fact, the Edinburgh head count showed that 53% of us is preferentially orientated towards a ma, and 47% is preferentially orientated towards a da. Not much in it, but those are the figures. So, here's the dipoles. Preferentially orientated towards a ma. Da is sidelined, often sidelined. Preferentially orientated towards a da. Ma is sidelined. So, the Edinburgh head count showed that the universal set of dipoles splits into three groups, equally numbered groups. They contain the same amount of numbers. 3 major groups and 1 minor little group. We'll discuss later. So there was the heterotic group, in which the member subjects were preferentially orientated towards the opposite sexed ma or da substitute. The preferential orientation was sort of subtended on the biological drive. That's probably irrelevant. Now, there was the bierotic group, which further split into 2 separate groups, a homoerotic bi group and a heteroerotic bi group. Now, in the homoerotic bi group, each member subject, initially when they enter into adolescence or early adulthood, are orientated towards a opposite sex ma or da substitute. They may well end up having kids before they eventually come out and are orientated towards their preferential ma or da substitute. Homobiotic. The hetero erotic bi group. Each member subject is permanently orientated towards an opposite sex ma or da substitute in a conventional way, whilst still being permanently orientated towards their preferential real mother or father. They're permanently orientated towards the real mother and father. Homoerotic substitutes were a no-go for such subjects. The third group I've christened the diarotic group are those free-floating, Oedipal double turners. They're all heterotic double turners, preferentially orientated both to a ma and a da. So, in a sense, they're orientated to same-sex ma, opposite-sex da, or an opposite-sex ma and a same-sex da. Either way, they end up exhibiting heterotic behavior. The last little group, the pedophiliac group, which constitutes only 2% of the dipoles. These member subjects are all Batma pre-Oedipal subjects, double turners in a sense, preferentially orientated at first towards a same-sex or opposite-sexed ma or da substitute, whilst moonlighting with a whilst moonlighting with a look-alike favoured brother or sister, whilst he or she favoured such a look-alike in the manner of their ma or da throughout their infancy. And then, tragically, of course, these individuals can go nasty and kill off such a favoured little bugger in the manner long imagined. Such are the ways of us sexually embodied speaking beings. Speaking beings that recursively enact all such routines with substitute muleless, clueless mas and das. A series of substitute ma and da leathers in the midst of a theatrical, adolescent space.